A man will be making 10,000 a week in Jamaica and him still can't survive.
When we find the politician, them a thief, make we lock them up.
Yes.
All laws devolve legitimacy from national constitutions, yet 57 years later, two-thirds of Jamaica's laws are relics of British colonial legislation, dating back to the plantation slavery period. Welcome back to Elite Jamaica, the place you come to learn about Jamaica and Jamaicans. If it's your first time joining me here, consider subscribing to the channel by clicking that red subscribe button. And do remember to turn on notifications by clicking that bell icon so you never miss any of my updates. There is a claim, still as yet to be credibly refuted, that one of Jamaica's constitutional framers successfully proposed to the others that, to give the Jamaican people justiciable rights, would derogate from sovereignty of Parliament. Accordingly, outside of the general election due every 5 years to decide the national governance leadership, the people of Jamaica have to be content with knowing about government actions and decisions through the media, having little, if any, say in them. To ease the national tension, which this could give rise to, those who are so amenable have been organized into aggressive rival political party fraternities, in which relations are supposed to be like the filial bond in a family but are anything but that. The core members might know a little more than the society, making them naturally more inclined to defend their party colleagues in government. It doesn't end there, for it appears now more than ever that the highest credential a minister in the cabinet can attain is finding favour with foreign governments by divesting significant Jamaican national assets to their countries for their nationals to control and repatriate the substantial profits earned from those assets to strengthen the economies of their own countries. Consequently, while Jamaica's greatest economic weakness has been a negative balance of trade, the prospect of a reversal fades farther in the distance after each divestment. Foreign governments are calling the shots in an increasing number of Jamaica's key economic sectors. The National Investment Promotions Agency, JAMPRO, has been lauded for its leading role in finding preferential foreign buyers for national assets, calling their stakes foreign direct investment. JAMPRO targets low-wage employment in exchange for generous national revenue-depressing tax concessions, low-intensity intervention in glaring industrial relations violations, cavalier granting of work permits. Ironically, the latest furor over the government's planned legislative expropriation of shares held in Jamaica's sole petroleum refinery Petrojam by a Venezuelan company exemplifies national apprehension about the sale of national assets to foreigners because of the credible suspicion that a favoured foreign buyer is waiting to buy out the refinery. And some commentators have been playing up the political factor of possible pressure by the US or the Jamaican government to cut ties with Venezuela. However, if this is true, it might well be the lesser of all the factors. Successive governments sole control of the lucrative mineral mining sector, first to American and Canadian corporations, then to an alleged criminal Russian billionaire as well as a Chinese government conglomerate. Telecommunications was sold to Irish and American investors, and air and seaports to multi-country consortiums. The national airline was sold to Trinidad, and the electric power supply monopoly first sold to a bankrupt American corporation called Mirant Energy, which sold it to a Japanese and Korean partnership. French and Chinese nationals control our major road networks, to whom motorists pay exorbitant tolls to drive across, while Spanish investors control the biggest tourism assets. The resold of the financial sector, which had been nationalized for 3 decades of Jamaica's independence lifespan, suspiciously gave control to Trinidad's Guardian Life, its former parent company, Jamaica Mutual Life, then the oldest and largest Caribbean insurance-led conglomerate, and at least about 2/3 of the life insurance sector was sold to Sagicor Corporation of Barbados. Jamaica's biggest bank, NCB, was sold to a Jamaican with Canadian citizenship who repatriates the profits he earns from it overseas. This is despite the fact that in the 80s, Jamaicans recapitalized it, buying a substantial portions of its shares, expecting that if the government was selling the controlling interest, they would get first preference. Thus, it is quite in order to call it a sweetheart deal. The state functionary who negotiated its sale became its CEO soon after, and is now the highest paid executive of a public list. Meanwhile, the Jamaican people hear more about separation of powers than about sovereignty, which is the authority of a state to govern itself, from the political representatives. suggesting a greater focus on the internal structure of the government rather than an international recognition of Jamaica as a sovereign state. Only time will tell if the Jamaican people have been fooled good or fooled for good by their political leaders, because this sellout has been going on for a very long time now. It needs to stop. I am Alex. Bless.